Hello, and welcome to the Afterlife. The other day, Luke and I had the pleasure of interviewing Shawn and Cody of the New Reality. Unfortunately, though, for us, my microphone cut out during the original taping of that audio intro. But now that they've been properly introduced, I've been Dre. Please enjoy. For you guys, did you guys have any family history of like paranormal, like growing up with like other family members or maybe like grandparents or anything like that?
That's a really good question. I don't think we've been asked that.
Yeah, that's a first timer.
For me personally, no.
Okay.
Yeah, for me, I think that it's kind of been in the bloodline. Nothing defined. My mom, I remember my mom telling me a story that my uncle knew that they were going to get a boat before, and Noah had talked about it, but grandpa, which is his dad at the time, never said anything, but picked up a boat and came home with a boat. So I feel like it's been in the line, our family line, but that's nothing substantial.
Okay. And then like, so like as far as like hauntings or anything like that, or
Well,
okay.
I think hauntings fucking follow Cody, but I mean, we both get that, right? I think we both really have, because we are made to do this. Like, we run into a lot of different things on everyday life as well as locations. I think we bring something special.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree, Cody? Or
No, I agree for sure. I don't think it has anything to do, at least with my family or my family lineage or anything like that. Haunting started here now.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Now, I remember growing up, my grandparents' house that they live in over in Hollywood, or they lived in Hollywood, and their house was like built in, I want to say like 1919 or something like that, around 1920. So their house is really old. And I remember there's always like, as a little kid, this one front bedroom was always a little bit creepy because my grandma had like a collection of like porcelain dolls, so that kind of added to that a little bit. But there was something about that room, and I remember my mom said when I was there with my parents, when I was like about one or so, maybe even an infant, she had seen like an apparition in that room of like a tall figure of like a guy in a black hat, kind of holding like a box in his hand.
Yeah.
And she was like freaking out, trying to wake up my dad. He's like, out asleep, not responding. And then eventually he just kind of went away. And she's like, okay, did that happen? Did I see that? And then she hears down the hall, my grandpa said, oh, that damn ghost grabbed my foot again, or something like that. So it's, for me, I think it's kind of something that's run in my family for sure on both sides. So that's why I was just kind of curious as to like what your guys' response would be.
Rodrigo or Dre just told me this a few weeks ago. I think you have a little bit of Egyptian itch.
Oh yeah, a little bit of like a Egyptian ancestry actually. Yeah, I was looking at I did a DNA test for Christmas. A couple of years ago, my whole family did. It's interesting kind of with DNA because everyone gets like a little bit of everything, like slightly altered. And
well, it's like anything, right? It's
yeah.
sort of like, I'm Cody's, obviously very good. He's very intuitive, and let's step out of that realm, right? Like, okay, there's this artist. He's really, he does drawings well, and that's what he's good at. So
right.
I feel like that's really what we're all about, right? We have our strong points, and some are very strong with their psychic abilities, their mediumship abilities, their Reiki abilities. But like that's their expertise. That's their masterhood, if you will.
Right.
So just like, because none of us are ever going to be close to being the same. We're so different.
Right.
I've heard you guys, like when you go on investigations together, you almost pick up and when you're alone. So are you guys related at all, or Is that just something?
Yes, we are very related, way beyond this existence.
In the spiritual world, you would say we are, but as far as this 3D world that we're in right now, no, we're not related.
Yeah.
Interest.
Yeah, but everybody thinks that we're brothers or something like that, and it's crazy the connection we have. It's nuts.
Yeah, the
That's
day
cool.
I saw Cody, I asked the question to his uncle. I said, "Who's this guy?" Because I felt the connection right away, and even it was clear enough. And again, I wasn't in my mediumship and my psychic workings. It was very clear to me that this person we were connected. And it didn't take long for us to understand what that was about. And here we are today talking to you about paranormal. So
yeah.
we get it.
Yeah.
It's been awesome. It's been awesome to share a journey with my brother, we're connected.
And
that's cool.
I'm not sure what this is, sorry, but I think you mentioned Reiki abilities. What is that?
What about Reiki? Reiki?
Yeah.
So it's a term, but it's a healing type of. I mean, I can go deep into it. What it is, if you want.
Definitely,
absolutely
paranormal. But basically, Reiki is a old Japanese technique of using quote unquote energy to heal one's body. Is what that is. So, energy is in everything, right? You take literally everything. Energy is in us. It's in the materialistic things that we use in our phones. So the theory is you manipulate the energy to go into one body and heal their body. That's what Reiki is.
Does that tie into acupuncture?
It absolutely does. Yeah, it ties into
chi energy, right?
Yep, chi energy, cupping, all of that stuff. Even regular masseuse, it ties into.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's all. It's all healing.
For sure. So
this one semi truck passed by and it said something like the magical healing of touch.
Yep, that's what it is. Healing by touch.
That's Reiki.
Yep.
It's not even touch. It's Cody. So just to be brief, Cody goes into a spot and he understands energy, and that's Reiki. That's healing. That's using the hands, right? So he'll get like feeling in his hands. He may not like promote that, but that's what happens. Like he'll feel it in his hands, and then he's getting more intuitive to where he understands a little bit more why he's feeling it in his hands. We won't call him a medium because he doesn't want to be called that, or a psychic, but more often than not, I get to listen to him say things and go, yeah, you're spot on, but but Cody's very gifted and he understands energy, and that's where it started. It was the healing hand, Cody, with Reiki.
Interesting. Now, is that something you guys, or Cody, that you kind of like developed like while you're investigating, or just something you kind of had like growing up a little bit, or how did that kind of come into play?
So this was, we're taking this way back. This is way before investigating. So Shawn and I both went on a spiritual journey, quote unquote, you can call it, before getting started. And we ended up in a place called Sedona, Arizona, which is all this weird, like metaphysical crap, right?
Amazing.
That. And that's where I was attuned. So you have to get attuned by a Reiki practitioner. And that's where I tuned to Reiki, and that's when I started learning and doing all of that stuff. It didn't come full circle until we started investigating with each other, to where I started, like Shawn said, I started feeling energy throughout different locations, and I was able to pinpoint signatures and what's stronger than the other, and then we were able to incorporate that in our investigations. Just like when Shawn goes in, he's able to get an imprint or through his mediumship, and I'm able to validate it with the energy I'm picking up, if that makes sense.
So Cody kind of shortchanged himself because, he understood energy before it even started. Like, so Reiki helped him direct it better.
Correct.
So where he was able to fine tune it, right? Because the woman, he's shortchanging himself because this woman was a shaman. And
wow.
We felt it with our hands, and Cody's hands, he said, my hands are burning up and they're vibrating. And we walked back into a crystal shop in Sedona, like you said, And she looked at us. She goes, "You guys finally made it." We're like looking at each other.
Wow.
It was early in our development of metaphysical, we'll call it. And he and her saying, "We were waiting for you." And she was the one that she was her teacher. Like,
well, thought she was out of. Remember, she's like, "Hey, I've been waiting for you," and we're like, "What are you talking about?"
Oh.
Wait.
It was magical. It was magical from the day one. Like, we got there and it was magic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And we didn't know that kind of magic, right? We were like, we're just fucking some two guys that are like searching, but
right.
we really were.
And this
That's
was
cool.
I forget the name of the ranch you went to in Washington.
ESETI.
Yeah, ESETI Ranch.
And that was after that event. You guys went there together.
Yeah, that was after. That was much after. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. ESETI Ranch is magical. Just get past the politics that they're trying to sustain the place, but like that place, a lot of things have happened to myself and Cody, and myself and his uncle. Like, I saw things that changed who I am today.
What's funny is, I mean, we're talking about ghosts, talking about paranormal, but it really encompasses everything, and that's what a lot of people don't really understand. Is it's not just 3-dimensional ghosts, so much more.
Right.
Talking about like ESETI Ranch, that place. I don't know what your guys are, but there's legit. I'm not crazy. Like, there's legit crazy shit going on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw it twice. I've been there twice, and I've seen it twice.
No, and that's funny that you mentioned that, because, so like we grew up in this small, little town, in California. We're in Fraser Park, and
exactly.
Luke and I. Oh yeah, so that's where I'm at right now. Like Luke and I, we grew up together, best friends as kids. We went to the same church and everything. And one night we had a sleepover over at his house. Long story short, we're telling scary stories, trying to, creep each other out. And we got so freaked out, we opened up the blinds. We were sleeping in his living room. And we saw like this green, like, I don't know how to describe it. It was like almost like a spiralized like disc. Kind of like it was weird. Like from one corner of the sky.
I'm laughing because of what happened. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was crazy. No, it was like one corner of the sky. It's like, twirling like, and like right in the middle, it almost like it looked at us and then it went away.
Did you hear it numbing, or like a thing?
We almost heard like a weird, like a little
like
yeah, like almost like a weird little whistle. And I remember like,
does that sound familiar, Cody? Or
100%.
Yeah, no, and it was crazy because I remembered it years later, and I thought, okay, we were just weird kids, there's no way that actually happened. I thought I just, dreamt it all.
Yeah.
And then I mentioned it, and then he started describing the exact same thing while I'm talking to him about that night. Like, you remember that?
That's amazing.
Word for word. Yeah. So it's funny that you guys mentioned that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we've seen a lot of extraterrestrial, apart as well as together.
Well, this might come in later on, Shawn, during the interview, but I mean, Bradshaw Ranch, it's haunted, but it's haunted by something we know as ET.
Yeah.
That's cool.
We're always trying to break into that. Like, we want to understand. It's not just like Cody was saying earlier. It's not about like paranormal. Yes, paranormal is not just ghosts. It's extraterrestrial. It's dimensional. It's metaphysical, because that's the life we live in, right? I'm a medium. I give readings, and they're so broad. We go into investigations, and what people don't understand, it's not about ghosts. It's so broad. Like it's a tone. Like, there's more to it than just a spirit.
Right.
There's a lot more to it. And Cody and I figure that out. That's what we're trying to do, and that's what we're trying to bring to people.
Yeah, and that's I like how you brought that up, because that's what we're trying to do for our channel. Like, we talk about ghosts and paranormal, but we want to like branch out and just kind of talk about all of that stuff. Yeah. I mean, because I've met, I don't know about you guys, but I've met like a lot of like Christians, Catholics, people, other like religions, and they believe in like, like a higher being, and they believe in like God. but they don't really believe in the existence of like ghosts or like a spirit realm. And it's kind of like, well, in order for, or they believe in, ghosts, but they don't believe in God or something like that.
Just
So it's like,
Holy Spirit,
what?
just like for the
Yeah,
like that's a spirit. So
exactly. So it's like, in order for, ghosts or, whatever kind of spirit to exist, you have to have a higher power, right? So it's like, I always found that kind of interesting. Do you guys like run into that at all, or?
All the time.
yeah,
Yeah, I think it's, and Shawn says this best, but I think it's fear based is what it is.
yeah. I was just thinking that.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of fearful people out there, and they think if they put, which actually, it makes sense. If you put power into something and you're
Hmm.
fearful, it becomes validity, right? It becomes the truth. So they'd rather
Right.
not even go near it to not experience it. So yeah, we run into that all the time.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
makes
So I
sense.
studied religion growing up. Like
Okay.
I did Catholic, I did
Hmm.
um Christian, I did Baptist, I've done
Hmm.
non-denominational. There's all these beliefs, and I understood them all to be important to that specific group of people, if you will, or
Right.
specific to the individual, right? So
Hmm.
it's all relevant, it's all important, it's all who the person is specifically, because we're all different. And there's
Right.
no way that you can just group all of us all up in this ball and say this we're the same, because we're not. And so to
Right.
have these different perspectives on, I hate to use the word God because it's been just tore up, right? This
Right.
higher power, this divinity, we'll call it,
Hmm.
and it's just watching over, and it's expanding, it's learning, it's everything we experience is what
Hmm.
we'll call it what it experiences, and it's on
Hmm.
several dimensions. It is beyond anything we can ever understand. I think, no, yeah, I'm getting deep, sorry, but that's God, right? It's
Yeah.
beyond.
Yeah. No, definitely. No,
Oops.
that's cool. No, no, go ahead, Luke. Oh, by the way, your camera's pointing down a little bit, Luke. You might want to raise it up.
Yeah, the interesting thing about the fear thing is I've heard that a lot of entities feed that.
Yes.
So even if you're like denying the existence of them and it's fear based, like, do you think that could be pretty dangerous, or do you think that opens you up more rather than just taking it head on? Like, there are paranormal things that we don't understand.
So,
For sure.
right.
Yeah, I think the parent, nobody understands it for certain. You know what I mean? People can say they can, but they can't. They're not on the other side. They don't know.
Right.
Shawn and I have had multiple conversations about this, but there's people who quote unquote call the experts, and they really just don't. Nobody knows. Nobody knows for certain. That's what I love about the
Hmm.
field is we're studying, we're researching, um,
Hmm.
because we don't know for sure. And everybody can have theories and theories and theories on what does this and what does that, but the reality of it is nobody knows. So that's what I love about it. As far as the fear base, go ahead, Shawn. I know you're going to say something.
Yeah, the fear base is that's what they feed off of, and if you want activity, and you want to catch that shit on film, because that's what me and Cody are doing,
Hmm.
um, like fear will create more activity because now it's an
Hmm.
energy, and
So
fear
it's
is
like,
very
hmm.
intense, right? It radiates. That means it expands faster. And I
Hmm.
think spirits have that energy, and they use that energy to um, show their existence.
Right.
And we get a
Hmm.
lot of interactions, right, Cody? I mean,
Hmm.
EVPs. Let's talk about EVPs. We're more often than not going to catch an EVP than we will not catch an EVP.
Yeah, and
Really?
what that
So,
is, trying to research that.
Huh.
Every place we go into, we
Hmm.
for sure catch an EVP of some sort. Every place.
Wow.
I don't know what
every
that.
place.
It's crazy.
He's not kidding. He's not kidding. Like
No, I'm
every place. It's
Or
not
weird,
because
right?
it's what we are. I'll say it until I die. Like Cody and I, when we first met, there was a magic about it. I call it
Hmm.
magic, and people might think, "Oh, that's woohoo," but like we bring an energy to a space that allows things to amplify.
Mm-hmm.
But logically, what does that look like? Because in the industry that I'm in, I'm all about trying to analyze and understand what that is about. But do I understand it? Yeah, I have theories, but we bring something magical to a place. In spirits, we give spirits a voice.
Mm-hmm.
And we
Right.
get like YouTube is just. I feel like YouTube is not. We're looking for something bigger than that because what we're doing and what we're creating is beyond that. But like that's where we're getting our exposure. That's what we're doing to show people what we are.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay.
are you still working in aerospace?
Yeah. Yes.
Cool. And then
Yeah, no, it sucks. But like it's when I was building airplanes, it was fun, but I'm not building.
I just wanted to ask, kind of calling back to the extraterrestrial thing. Do you know people, or do you commonly experience, like, do you have a lot of experiences with extraterrestrials in that field?
Not because of my job, but like because of. So when I was in first grade, like there was 3 things I was pulling out of the library, and it was UFOs, it was ghosts, and it was airplanes.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I've run into a lot of people, especially Area 51, and this man was 78 years old, and he told me the story that he was one of the investigators on that site, and then went into bringing a video the next week because he investigates possible crash sites. So yeah, I've run into a lot of people that me and Cody together have seen just stuff you can only have theories about.
Yeah.
Sedona. He said he ran like Sedona. We watched a light hover. I saw it. I felt like it was going to shoot off in a 45 degree angle, and it did that. And it looked at me, and there were 17 people. We all witnessed the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
He said
That's
Ranch,
cool.
we had something scanning us. It was an orange orb. It was just above the tree line. And it was following us. it knew.
Wow.
Go ahead, Cody.
I was saying it got bigger and bigger by the time, like, when we were walking away, it kept getting bigger and bigger. Like, it was following.
Oh, no way.
It was
It didn't want us to leave.
Yeah.
Wow. That's cool. So what do you think that was? Do you think that was like some kind of like a extraterrestrial thing, or some kind of like a ball of like some kind of like spirit energy? Like what do you think that was?
It's 100% extraterrestrial. I don't know exactly what it was.
Okay,
but,
right.
It was pretty bizarre for sure. And the feeling we felt, I don't know if you remember this, we felt very at ease.
Yeah.
If that says anything. So
yeah, very settling. Like it was something that we already knew about.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I was listening to one of your earlier videos the other day, and you guys were saying the Saint Michael the Archangel prayer, and then you almost saw like almost like a bright light, like someone's shining a flashlight on you guys.
That is by far our most prominent and that was an amazing.
Yeah, we were at Boron Prison, which is actually in California as well. It's now, but this is very early on in our investigation, like very early. And we were doing our thing, and we were getting ready to leave, and I felt something was around my neck, and it wouldn't leave. Every location it kept following.
Yeah, our KT was going off around him, showing that something
was catching.
Really?
Go to Clear, which we we're going to say we do every investigation, but we don't. But we go to Clear,
but you need to.
And doing this cleanse, and Shawn leads the prayer. And we call upon Archangel Michael because both him and I work with him very well, and we're doing this prayer, and all of a sudden, our eyes are closed, and we see what I can only describe as somebody put a floodlight over our heads and shined it.
Wow!
And we both saw it.
We both saw it. And we heard a pop. We open our eyes. It's pitch black. There's nothing around us.
Wow.
And we both looked at each other like, it's time to close this. Because this was our protection. Right?
That was crazy. That was a crazy experience.
I'll never forget that. Never. Like I'll say the story over and over again because this experience was beyond anything I ever understood. Like we've
Hmm.
seen a lot of things that just, people might question, but if you weren't there and sitting there next to us and had the experience, you wouldn't have believed it.
Yeah, yeah, no, I totally get that. That's amazing. Now, you guys may have already touched on this a little bit, but what was like your first ever like paranormal experience? Like, that did that happen while you're investigating? You
No.
know,
Yeah,
no.
because I love the story, but
Okay, so it's funny. I tell this story a lot, but it's a good story. So I was 16.
Uh-huh.
I was with a buddy over playing video games. It's 3 a.m. at my parents' house. Actually, the house I'm at right now. And
Oh, okay.
we start hearing what I heard was a vacuum. Right. I was
Hmm.
like, it's 3 a.m. My mom, hi, what is she doing vacuuming right now? So we both go out, and it's not coming from the living room. It's coming from the garage. This is the craziest thing ever.
Oh,
Yeah, so we go to the garage, we open the door, and there's a leaf blower in the middle of the garage, and it's
uh-huh.
on blowing, not plugged in.
Oh.
Looking at my buddy, it's my buddy Nick, and he's looking at me, and we're dumbfounded. And he's
Uh-huh.
like, go turn it off. And I'm like, no, you go turn it off. You know,
that's a negative.
we muster up the courage. We walk over there. I had to physically turn the knob to the off position for it to
Oh,
turn.
wow.
It doesn't turn on without no power. Like it had to be plugged in.
Yeah.
And that
Wow.
was ever since then. I was just full train ahead. I wanted to encompass everything into this unknown world. It was crazy.
Right.
I'll never forget when Cody said to me, like, so, I had a meditation group. I was already in the metaphysical. And
Hmm.
then, Cody just started coming and like, we already had that bond. And all of a sudden I get a text from him. It was probably 1:30 at night or in the
Oh, it
morning.
was late. It was late, bro.
Yeah, it was 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. He's like, bro, I just had an experience. I know you're supposed to be a part of it.
Yep.
And that was the paranormal field. That's when we're already getting caught up. I don't want to say caught up, but like we got involved with the metaphysical,
Hmm.
and then all of a sudden the paranormal dropped in, and from the day one, our first investigation was just off the charts, off the charts.
Wow. That's cool. Now, like, I I can sort of relate to the vacuum story because I mean, like,
Can you give guys 1 second? Go ahead, and I'll be right back.
oh yeah, no, no, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, I can kind of relate to the vacuum story because, like, I like to say at my house, I don't want to say it's like a paranormal hotbed, but like, we have a lot of like items from like, friends or family relatives that have passed on, and so I think a lot of those items like still hold like their energy.
Residual hauntings for sure.
Yeah, like, yeah, exactly. Because I remember like as a little kid, there's like a couple stairs at the bottom of the steps that would kind of creak. Fall asleep on the couch and I'd hear like someone walking down the stairs, jump up, no one there, that kind of thing. So I always had like little experiences like that as a kid. But I remember when I was about maybe 19, same kind of thing. Cleaning the house. Only this is during the day. We're vacuuming, and I think I went to go change out. It's like an old vacuum, so I had to physically change out the filter like in the bag. Well, it turned on, and I'm like, why is the vacuum on?
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't plugged in, and I was like, okay, this is happening. So it was really weird, but like no one is there.
It's one of those things that if you're not seeing it and experiencing it, it's going to be hard for you to understand or relate to it, right?
Exactly,
Right.
exactly.
And so, like, because I kind of heard that, it's almost like somebody's like just kind of watching out for you. Like it was a family member, like seems like a mother type figure, but like when I see that, it's more like grandmother stepped into a space of like taking care of you growing up. Was that accurate?
You know what's interesting because I still have both, my grandmothers and of course I have my mom. But what's interesting is that happened. I want to say probably a few months after one of my friends, like his mom, she committed suicide, and she was like really like close, and like I used to like play a lot of shows. I'm a musician, so we used to play like little local venues, and she would show up, and she's like really supportive.
She's like your mom, right?
So yeah, so it's kind of funny that you mentioned that.
Yeah, if I had $1 every time I heard that. So I felt like a mother type figure that was trying to just really support you at your most vulnerable, right? You're sitting in this place of judgment, right? How am I going to play well? And like she was just there to let you know that you were just doing fine.
Yeah.
So, this is not. It's what I do on the side.
Yeah. No, like I'm honestly like having a little bit of goosebumps right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool. Now, so for Cody, now, do you still like work in law enforcement, and do you feel like kind of being in that field, did that help you with investigating as far as like having an objective mind? Like maybe not everything is so paranormal, or how does that come into play?
It's
Or
funny.
maybe what you do now is helping you.
Yeah, I think it's funny. I think it's one of the same. I can go into a lot of different outlooks with this, but I think so. My job, obviously, I'm very confrontational. I'm very upfront, and that shows in our investigations. You know, that's kind of who I am. That's why Shawn and I balance so well. I'm kind of the hard ass, and he's kind of, you know, this gentle, loving soul, which he is.
Fuck that. I'm just kidding.
And it shows in the investigations, and it's crazy because like some places I'll get more activity, or they'll be responding more to me. Some places they'll be responding more to Shawn, depending on the approach. So I think definitely it coincides with one or the other. Obviously, my job, I'm very logical minded, very analytical as well. So is Shawn. But it's more investigative, and I think doing my job gives me the paranormal field to dig deeper, investigate deeper, and trying to find out what's going on at that location. You know?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Yeah. Cody, tell the story with the hawk. Like,
Okay.
just because that's a great story, right? Like, we're doing a podcast, of course. Like, that's a great story. Like him doing his job, but metaphysical.
Yeah, I can't go into specifics, but I'll tell you the gist of it. So it's 3 a.m. I work graves, and I was looking for. I'm by myself, which I shouldn't have been, but I was by myself looking for this dude, and I was like, "Man, this is creepy. I'm gonna get shot down." I was in a riverbed looking for this guy because that's where I'm to be. And I see a hawk at night. I see a hawk above, and a hawk is something that follows Shawn and I around. It's our spirit animal, and I'm looking and it flies over, and I'm looking. It circles me, flies over to this tree, lands on the tree, and it looks down, points his beak down, clear as day, and it's just looking down, and I'm like, I'm gonna follow that. So I go towards the hawk, and I look to the right where the hawk is, pointing down, and there was the suspect sleeping in a sleeping bag.
Oh, no way.
Swear to God, dude. It was
Yeah.
insane. Yeah.
Magic world.
Yeah.
It's like
That's cool. Now, kind of like a follow-up question that's kind of like tied into that, but is it common for police officers or people like in like the first response field, like to have these kind of like paranormal experiences, but maybe they just don't talk about it, or is that just kind of like to each his own?
You know, that's funny you say that. When I first started, I would say no. Now, once you get past all the bullshit of the hard exterior of everybody, yeah, there's a lot of first responders who have something, who have an experience that they can't explain, or they heard something they can't. Went to a call and they saw this, but they hide it. They try to rationalize it, and then they're just like, oh, that didn't happen or whatever. But more often than not, I've met people who have an interest, or they've had a story that they just don't feel comfortable sharing. And we've even, right, Shawn, we've even done locations of some of my partners, like their houses. Yeah. So,
oh wow.
yeah,
military as well, right? So they see a lot of
military as well. Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
or they're in other countries that have like some dark shit going on. You know,
Yeah.
it's different than what we understand. So,
Right.
I mean, going back to like me and Cody, really liking the idea of exploring these things we don't understand. But
No,
like that one was a top video forever.
yeah.
And we think that was a gen from Middle East. So extraterrestrials, yeah, or not extra. It was there was poltergeist activity, things being thrown.
Wow.
Even when we were doing the investigation, like things were being thrown.
Wow. It's like some kind of like a violent spirit or like entity then.
I wouldn't say violent per se, but it definitely wanted us to know it was there.
Yeah. I think we're protected at a level, like, because we do this and it's not something we're doing just without something watching over us. I think that we get a lot of things being thrown and it isn't directed at us because it's not allowed to, because I think that's what we're about. And we have a lot of different beliefs, but we believe that like we are being protected. And yes, things are angry at us because we're poking at the bear.
We've had a lot of we've been to a lot of dark places. So.
Yeah.
No,
Shawn, I know early on when you were with that original group, I forget the name.
Or cops.
Sorry, I think it cut out for a second.
It's para or cops.
Yeah. You were with para, and you did an investigation, but you didn't do any prayers or any preventative like protection. And I heard you went into a dark place for a while.
Yeah.
That wasn't para. That was actually Shawn and I. That was when we were branching off. I think he's talking about your possession, Shawn.
Yeah.
Or possession.
Attachment.
Yeah. Go into that.
Yeah. So like what Cody was saying, we're actually branching off, which is ironic that we were going to call it cops. But
okay.
Okay. So,
but we went over there to scout it for our next investigation, and it was during the day, and we were up in an area, and I felt like something had rushed me, and then I felt heavy, and even the K2 was just in the red.
Oh.
So as months, a couple weeks had progressed, I went into this dark place, and Cody, I kept telling Cody, I don't know what's wrong. I'm not myself, and so Cody, like, he saw this transformation of me being in a dark place. When finally addressed, because this is when I just started doing. Well, Cody's a part of that as well. The mediumship development, if you will, had a medium at my house, and he helped me out as far as progressing. But all of a sudden, his girlfriend reaches out while I'm going through this issue, and from Ohio, says, "Hey, just wondered how you're doing," which is not normal for her to do that. Andrew is, in Sedona. "Hey, what's going on?" And I was like, "Are you good?" And then I explained to her what was going on. And she made a comment of, "I think you have an attachment," and contacted my buddy, which was the medium. And he reached out and goes, "What the fuck are you doing? And what are you putting your head in? You've got this attachment." So once I knew that, went through just long story short, he said, "When you go to sleep, when you wake up, you'll be fine." I lay down and things happened right away to where I felt like my protection was there, and it really took care of business. After that all went down, I understand, like, I was cleared of it, felt normal. But at the same time, understood, like, that didn't happen by chance. It was something that I had to experience. And it's because of what me and Cody deal with every day. It can be the darkest. It can try to take you over. It can, like, try to cause mischief in your life. But the reality is you have this divine energy around you that's protecting you that will always overcome it. The light always overcomes darkness. So it was a good lesson for us to know, well, for me especially, that I have a lot of power within me, which is not me, but it is this higher this energy that'll allow us to do what we do.
See, that Shawn's a little modest too, because I disagree with him. I think we as in people are very powerful. I know faith is there, and I know divine's there, and obviously that trumps us. But I think us as individuals, we have a lot of power, and Shawn has a lot of power for sure.
Yeah, and belief has everything to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we are strong beings, and I've heard people, there's a lot of religions and saying, we are a part of God, and Jesus was as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we are a religion, but beliefs we are as powerful as any entity, because we are magic. We are gods. We are a part of God, right? So
right.
Own that, and to be able to say you cannot do anything with me, you're done, is a power in itself. So like what Cody was saying, it doesn't matter what you approach, you can always overcome it.
Right.
You have to do that.
And it went on for 2 months because you didn't really recognize that at first, and maybe you were thinking, oh, it's some sort of other external factor.
I asked Cody a lot, I don't know what's wrong with me. Because again, I was going through my human experience, my human development, and have something that I didn't understand. But now, if I look back, I know what it was, and now if it was to approach me, I would know how to deal with it right away. Which we'll go ahead and say that's happened, where it does want to attack you where you're weakest, and persistency. And I'll say that, and I've said that for years. Persistency is the win. Like you have to do your practices. You have to know that you're being protected. You have to know that you have the power to take on anything and everything and overcome it.
Definitely. Now that kind of ties into, I know we've been talking about like cleansing a lot and kind of like suiting up in your protective, spiritual armor, if you will. Now, when you say like the Saint Michael the Archangel prayer, now for us, growing up, we're Catholic, so and we were always told if you pray in Latin, that was always like stronger than if you were to pray, in English or a different language, because that was like the language of like the church. Now, is that something like you guys do? Do you like say it in English? You say it in Latin, or how does that kind of work out for you guys?
I think it's, again, we're going back to a lot of religious beliefs. But it's, I think, one, I don't know Latin, so I ain't trying to do a Latin, but
yeah,
well, you don't know Latin?
I really just think it's about. What's that?
Older guy's cabin. Just flashback.
So I just think it's about what you put into it, and English is fine. But again, it goes back to your belief system, and I think intent is everything. And I know Shawn does as well. So whatever you put into it, whatever you believe, it's going to happen. It's going to work.
As long as you have like that belief and that idea that you're already protected, that you've been protected. Not, it's more than just saying words. It's kind of like what you're saying.
Just know. Just know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the church, the temple, is the body.
Right.
That's the vessel of God. That's what holds the God within us, right? So you have to like empower that God within you, which is God, whatever you want to call that. But it's within yourself, and that power is beyond anything. It's a light, right? It doesn't matter how dark it comes. You have a light that will overcome it, and that's the God within.
There's a lot of private investigations that we've done where we have to counsel people because a lot of it is self-created. A lot of it is self-created and doubting themselves and being fearful. There's that word again, right? Being fearful. It plays a part in the paranormal world. The more fearful you are, the more, for lack of a better term, fucked you're going to be.
Fears feed.
Yes.
It's like a big trough that a pig feeds into.
But on the flip side,
right?
The flip side of fear, Shawn, right? Showing no fear and having fear, they're both an energy.
Yeah.
It just depends on what side of the energy you want to be on.
Okay.
And the
Now,
spirit love it. So the fear we like because it's intense. We bring somebody that's just, fearful, because it takes a lot for us to be fearful about it, because I think we have a lot of experiences. But we bring somebody that's fearful, all of a sudden the activity kicks up that much more.
Right up. Okay, yeah.
Because now it's a vibration that's like, it's intense vibration, right? And they're using that vibration, that frequency to get the energy they need to respond to us. May it be through equipment, or we've heard a lot of audible on top of catching it on recorders. And they know we're gonna keep asking questions until they're fucking annoyed. So
right.
we're gonna answer our questions.
Yeah.
Even going audibles too, I think one of the best piece of it is when you have and you have a camera. Both record audio, right? And you only put voice on one piece of equipment. Yeah. To me, that's just insane because you can't debunk that.
Right.
Voice on one, but not the other, and they're both right next to each other.
Homestead, like we heard it as clear as day, and we picked it up on audio as well. But like, I'll never forget that. It's just me and Cody. We got a camera guy holding the camera, and then we hear, "Hey," it's as clear as us saying it. And sorry, I had to bring that up because that was amazing. Like, we both looked at each other and we went, "Are you fucking kidding me right now?" Like, whatever was there wanted us to hear it, and we did pick it up on every recorder, but it was very audible.
No, that's interesting. Now, so when you guys get, like you said, you get a lot of EVPs, are some of those like audible to like where you hear them, or more often than not you just get them on the recording?
So we hear a lot as well physically, like we hear, but I'd say, they both kind of coincide. Sometimes we hear them and we pick them up, and sometimes we don't and we pick them up. So it just depends on what's going on and what type of haunting's going on.
Okay. And
it's pretty right, Cody. 100%. It's equal.
Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. Now it's funny.
Sorry.
That no, I was just saying it's funny that you mentioned about one of your guys' friends from Ohio, because Luke and we both grew up here in Frazier Park in California, but he actually has since moved to Ohio, so he lives out in Ohio right now. So I don't know, I just feel like it's kind of like a funny connection, and the fact that you guys know where Frazier Park is kind of funny.
Oh, Cody,
yeah,
California boy. I'm from Michigan. Yeah. Ohio.
Okay. Now, have you guys ever investigated like in Hart Park, like Saugus, like Santa Clarita area? Have you ever done anything over there?
The closest we've been to Santa Clarita is probably Hollywood.
Okay.
I would say. Santa Clarita itself, no. It's funny, my grandma lives in Santa Clarita. But no, we haven't been there yet. You got some locations for us though?
Yeah. So it's funny because there's Hart Park. It's in Saugus, and you'll have to forgive me. I don't remember all the details, but there was this actor's, but I believe his name was William S. Hart. He's like from the 1920s. Did a lot of cowboy movies. His whole house is over, in Saugus, which is kind of like in Santa Clarita. That place is supposed to be like really haunted. It's supposed to be a hotbed. There's some other like little locations around Santa Clarita. That's why I was just kind of curious. And there's Heritage Junction also.
Oh, Heritage Junction.
Oh my God.
So,
we have been
100% would love to go back to Heritage Junction.
That place is crazy.
Holy shit.
Yeah. No, what's funny is like when I was a kid, long before, Luke and I had even decided to do a podcast or do paranormal stuff, I was just being a creepy kid. You had a voice recorder. We're at Heritage Junction, and I think I had just seen the episode on, I think it's Ghost Adventures, and they were investigating there. We went there. I had a voice recorder. And is anyone here? That kind of thing. Just messing around when I shouldn't have been. And later on in the recording, it was weird because it was long after I asked the question, but I just heard like this really distinctive, like a yes, just like that. really loud on the recording. I didn't hear it, but it was really clear.
Cody got scratched by that guy. Was it upstairs?
So we're actually outside one of the houses because at the time, I think we were on a Sunday or something, and they weren't technically open, but we could like walk around the park.
Gotcha.
That was outside one of the main houses. I want to say it's the Axe House, I think.
Okay.
I was outside that one.
I was scratched there. And again, I have a lot of theories on being scratched. I didn't feel in danger at all. I was definitely scratched there, and we showed everybody we were with. They're like, "Oh my God, what's going on?"
Again, I didn't call that older guy that was very protective, right? So
yeah. So that place is nuts. It's I haven't thought about that place in a long time. That's funny.
Yeah, those were days. Those were when we were just really starting to explore our awareness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I would go back there in a heartbeat. That place was. Remember me saying, I see a guy walking out of that window up above, and then they're like, "Oh, so you saw the article?" I'm like, "No, I just see a man walking out of that window." And sure enough, apparently somebody saw a full body version.
Somebody snapped
Wow.
a photo, shadow coming out. Remember, it was a shadow coming out of the window. Nuts.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
that's cool.
Fun.
No, now I know you guys use like dowsing rods from time to time. Now I've kind of done like my own little, investigations, if you will, kind of like at the restaurant I work at, just kind of messing around. And Luke, he made some out of hangers. But I mean, do you have like any like tips or anything if you're like using them, like as far as like, I don't know, maybe like being like in a state of focus or anything like that?
All right. So divination rods, just like it's a tool, right? It's just like it's just like using cards. It's a tool. It's just like using runes. You have to set your intent. Okay, you have to set your intent on what you're trying to do and what you're trying to accomplish. It's really all in your mind. I mean, it's not all in your mind, but you're setting. Yeah, you're setting that intention to right. So when I go into a location, I don't want to. Have you taken like divination rod classes or anything like that?
So it's funny. No, I haven't. I just went on Amazon, got the first pair I could find, started messing around, and I was at my house, funny enough, and sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I was at the house holding them, and all of a sudden I asked them to cross, and they start spinning, and then one just starts taking off like a helicopter, and I was just like, this is interesting. So, like, I wasn't sure if it's like, I don't know if there's like unstable energy or what, but.
I know. So just because so Cody's done class. He's actually he's a teacher.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
Take course on it because there's a lot of balance that needs to happen.
Correct. And there's a lot of stuff that can happen. Like you can for sure open up something that you don't want to open up. So be careful. Be for sure careful.
Yeah.
But my best advice to give you is set your intention. Set that nothing can get through here. You're only trying to figure out what's going on. And what I do is I set a clear yes. So I'm holding them, right? And there's actually specific, so be mindful of that. But I'm holding them and I say, show me yes. And for me, yes is a cross, right? And then you clear it. Every time you get an answer, you clear it. You say, all right, clear. Then it goes back to normal. Then you say, all right, show me no. And for me, it's the left one turning to the left. That's the no.
Okay.
And I clear it right after. That way, you're not sitting on the same one and you're clearing and whatever. People have used these for decades. I mean, all the way back to the 1800s to find water. That's what they were prominently known.
Gold, water, whatever.
Yep. So
I mean, it's all in. Like Cody said, it's all in the intention.
Right.
Okay.
And then, like you said, and I'm going to reiterate, like you set the boundaries. Like I'm only allowing this to come through while I'm doing these rods, right? Because again, you're setting the boundaries. You're setting up the protection by verbally saying. And that's what that's important.
Okay.
Because then you may not get a clear message, right?
Right. Okay. No, and that's interesting because Luke, tell them the story about like when we were testing them out. When we were on the phone call last week.
Yeah. So I was probably being kind of Uh, what's the word? Uh, yeah, just not safe with them. I kind of just was messing around with them, but
Right.
first
You
time
can't
you,
around with them.
Yeah, as one does.
uh, basically, I just did some basic tests, like point to the lawn or like point to that semi truck that just passed by. And then the day after, I was asking them to point to specific people, like my brother, like Dre, uh, and yeah, they got it spot on. So
Oh,
that was cool, but also like I had an idea of where everybody was.
right.
What I want to do next, I've been thinking about maybe like trying to find lost pets or like missing people with them. But
It's a medium, huh? So do you dream a lot? Have you had a lot of experiences in dreams and like seeing things?
like future events and stuff along
Well,
those.
or things that have happened in the past that you're seeing, like spirits that are trying to tell you a story. I'll leave that with you.
Yeah,
Just that,
uh,
right?
uh, yeah, because like yeah, not really. I don't think, but I'll start paying attention to that more.
Mm-hmm.
Because maybe there is, and I'm just paying attention to it. But the one test I did do that didn't work out too well is I flipped a coin, put it under like a paper bag, and I was like heads or tails, cross of heads, separate of tails, and that kind of just works like maybe a little over half of the time. So that was a little disappointing, but it might also just be I need to hone that skill a little more.
Yeah, it's definitely a practice for sure.
Yeah, that's how I started. Like I didn't know what was going on, and I didn't take any courses. I was practicing like that.
Yeah.
It wasn't heads or tails. It was like I'd point out a word on something and try to see if I could pick it up. So you like, yeah, you're trying to work out that muscle. It's a psychic ability.
Right.
We all have it. You can make it stronger if you work with it.
Mhm. Interesting. Now, do you think like working on that psychic ability, because everyone says, like kids are like really in tune to things. Is that easier like when you're a kid to kind of develop? Like say if they have like a paranormal experience and that's what kind of triggers like almost like this mediumship, or is like as you get older, maybe it's like it kind of dwindles and it lessens, or like how does that work?
No, I think that we're actually born into our more natural state is not to verbally say what we feel.
Hmm.
It more of feeling people's energy. All of us are very empathic, but the new generation is definitely becoming more aware. So there is a transition. So if you think about, you guys are probably a little bit younger, but I can look at and see what I've been through in my lifetime and seeing a very crazy transition.
Hmm.
That's us being more aware or becoming more natural stated to where we don't need to always verbal. We can feel, and at the same time, so here's this artist that's really good at being an artist,
Hmm.
and there's this guy that can draw stick figures. So this
Right.
that's an artist is stronger at this ability, right?
Right.
So not everybody has a strong psychic and mediumship ability, but there is something there. They can draw a picture with stick figures, right?
That's me.
Okay.
Take-
Yeah, that
Bullshit, Cody. You're
Oh,
probably more like you actually put like a round and muscle structure. And
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, we're coming up on an hour, but Shawn, I really wanted to ask you about that 70-year-old guy you were talking about that worked at Area 51. Uh, did he ever mention anything about seeing actual like aliens, or was this all like
Oh,
craft?
well, everything about Area 51 was extraterrestrial. Like he
Mhm.
confirmed that everything that was not real, but you know, was real. Like that was a vehicle not from this planet. We reverse engineered, night vision, fiber
Mhm.
optics. computer chips. There's a power plant that we have not exposed, and that's something I felt right away that is something that would benefit the world. But there's a lot of technologies that were involved in that. And he was one of those guys that got a chance to witness it and is still investigating potential crash sites. And I got to see a video that was more up to date of him actually what looked like rock, but sounded like tin and metal and had a magnetic field to it. So yes, I do believe what happened there was extraterrestrial, and it was something we reversed engineered. When I heard about that and he told me about that, there wasn't ancient aliens saying these things yet.
Wow.
Before that happened. And then I heard it and I'm like, oh, holy shit. Like, I heard that from a guy that investigated a long time ago.
That is amazing.
That's trippy.
Yeah. And I think Cody and I see a lot of that. I think it's not by chance. I think we were brought here to learn and to expose or try to bring an alternative message on what we're seeing. And it's not fear-based. It's more just an understanding. That's in the paranormal field as well as extraterrestrial. Because Cody and I are both very gifted in that. Mm-hmm. Again, Cody's a healer, knows and understands energy through the healing process. I'm a medium. Mm-hmm. A psychic. We both work in the field of metaphysics. And we're both very good at it. And we're still trying to understand, just like everybody else, right?
Yep. Right. Yeah, that's cool.
You guys are doing what you're doing, and you're rational. So, it really helps with people being more open to this kind of stuff.
Yeah. I think it gives us credibility, too. We both have very mundane jobs, so.
Yeah.
Credibility to what's going on, so.
Yeah, we're the 3D. Like we're in the, like, again, Cody being in, he's working in a place where you're investigating, and I'm in a place of research. I'm more of a different when it comes to aerospace technology, but it's my base is research and development, and that's what we're doing. We're
yeah, that's really cool. Well, like Luke said, we're coming up on an hour, but last question I wanted to ask before we kind of close out is, would you guys be down if like we did like some kind of an investigation together at some point, like down the road? Like, would that be a possibility?
You cut up. What was that?
Oh, sorry. I thought there was a long pause. Yeah. It's like, no, they shut me down. No, I was just saying, would it be a possibility, like some point down the road, if like we could kind of do like some kind of like a collaboration, like a investigation or something? Because like we're still like pretty new as far as that like aspect, so we're still not too sure on what to do.
I think we'd be open to it for sure. There's a kind of an unspoken rule we have. If you get us the location, we'll let you in the episode. So
okay.
So for sure, I think we can make something work.
Because you guys got to be like we invest money into these locations to keep our channel. Mm-hmm. So when like Cody was saying, when we get a location that you guys have found and take care of whatever it takes to get into the place, we're both insured, for what we do, but have spots, and then you guys are more than welcome to be a part of the episode.
For sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I mean, there's some cool little local places. I don't know if you've heard of it, but there's Fort Tejon. I don't know if you guys know where Bakersfield is.
Yeah.
But okay, so it's like a little couple miles away from Fraser. Like if you're heading into Bakersfield, but it's like an old fort that's been there since I think 1856, I think. So yeah, that's seen some history. Obviously, not any battles or anything, but a lot of soldiers like dying from dysentery, or even like a couple like murders have taken place there. So
I think
bear attacks.
Oh yeah, and there's I don't know if do you know Lebec?
No, not.
So it's a little town right outside of Fraser, and that it actually got its name from a fur trapper who was at Fort Tejon. His name was Peter Lebec, and legend has it he was actually killed by the last X bear or grizzly bear in California, or one of them, and he
Heck yeah.
died there. So it's pretty cool, like little place. There's some other like little places in Fraser, as you know. It's kind of like an old mining town, so definitely some
Right.
history.
So obviously there's a lot of theories on why things are haunted, a lot of folklore, so it's hard for us to go down the folklore path because people have had experiences and then they over exaggerate, you know what I mean? So
For sure. Yeah.
Mining, there's definitely attachments that happen there, like people get cold fever and then it get attached to a mine site, and we've proven that multiple times in some of those places that we've been to. So that'll probably do really much better than like a possible last someone's life when it came to a grizzly bear.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Right?
Yeah, because I mean, there's a lot of emotions that go into that. If you think about it, with mining, people like just picking up their life and moving in hopes to find something better. So
Right.
that makes a lot of sense.
To a metal that like is shiny, causes gold fever. Yeah, that we've seen that a lot in a lot of our investigations. Mills, abandoned camp or mining camps. We've seen a lot of crazy active hauntings.
Wow. Well,
coming on, guys. Really fun talking to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for having fun. That was fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
No, thank you. Yeah, it was a pleasure to get to meet you guys. We look forward to working something out down the road, and I know you guys have a lot of stories, so if you guys are interested at a later point, we'd love to have you guys back on to kind of share some of those other stories with us. So Thank you guys.
Appreciate you.
You guys have a good day.
Thank you. And thank you guys for tuning in to this week's episode of The Afterlife. And as always, we'll see you on the other side.
Peace.
You guys, thank you.
Take care, guys.
Thanks, guys.